Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's that time of the week. We're taking a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. All right, starting things off, the biggest news this week. You may have seen it earlier this week in our $50 survival and camping knife video. Brand new exclusive, the Becker BK40 upgraded with D2 blade steel. This is a really cool project for me personally. I'm friends with Mr. Becker, and it's really cool to be able to be in a position where I'm in now here at the Knife Center, where we can see a product and go, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? Well, that's exactly what happened with the standard BK40. We wanted to see it with D2 tool steel for the blade. So we went to K-Bar, said, hey, can we do something like this? Maybe change the handle color on it. So we came up with this gray, and this is the result. Really, really cool. And also really cool, it's only about $5 more than the standard version right now, which has risen in price this past, with the new year, I should say. It's about $45. This knife right here, $50, $49.95 to be more specific. That is a lot of hard working knife for $50. Now the handle comfort on these guys really are their best reason for being. It follows the shape and roughly the contouring of the mid-size Becker fixed blades like the BK16 and the 18, which are currently available still. So it kind of makes hard work feel easy. You wrap your hands around that, it nestles in very nicely. It doesn't have any aggressive texturing, but with the shape, it doesn't really need it because it still locks into your hand. And for a folder, it's one of the most comfortable, honestly, that you can get when you're going through hard tasks or prolonged working sessions with the blade. The D2 tool steel, of course, adds edge retention over the AUS 8 stainless versions, but gives up some of the stainless capabilities on the flip side of that. On a knife like this, that may or may not matter to you, but the extra edge retention here, I think especially makes this even more competitive. Clip point shape, plenty of belly. Ethan says this is kind of his reimagining of the Sodbuster blade shape. You can absolutely see that when he makes the comparison. We've got a liner lock. We've got washers in the pivot to keep with the kind of hard-working nature of these knives, no bearings to get gummed up, and a 4-position wire deep carry pocket clip. Coppet clip? What's a coppet clip?
I don't know.
I don't know what a coppet clip is, but whatever you want to call it, it holds it in your coppet right nicely.
That's not going away.
These are cool knives, and I am so thrilled that these are a Knife Center exclusive. All right, next up, we have got some Acta non-Verba to show you. These actually came in a few weeks ago. Haven't had a spot to show them in the video, actually. They came in while I was working from home at SHOT Show, so in the crush of getting caught up from being out of the office for 2 weeks, they kind of got missed, and that's my fault.
How dare you?
How dare I? But we're going to start with this, actually no, let's not start with this. Let's start with this, the Z100. Really cool, kind of no-nonsense flipper design here. Kind of similar in attitude, I'd say, to the Becker we just looked at. Not as comfortable of a handle, granted. It's just flat G10 in this case, but a similar no-nonsense work ethic to the way it's built and the intent behind it as well. Aluminum or G10 handles are available on this particular knife. The least expensive G10 option, which comes in black, is about $93. Not too bad. For that, you are going to see some upgrades over the knife we just looked at. First off being Sleipner steel with a nice tumbled finish, very nice tumbled finish actually, with that flat grind and a swedge there at the tip to keep things more efficient out there. Sleipner should have something, similar edge retention to something like D2, but it's going to be tougher at the same time, so it's a pretty cool material. We've also got washers in this pivot right here, no ball bearings there, inset liner lock, and a 2-position pocket clip. Reversible, deep carry, tip up only in this case. Flipping action, not as crisp or quick as some of the ball bearing knives out there. This definitely could use maybe a little bit more in that department, but it's still very capable and very solid feeling, a very versatile shape overall. Next up, we have the Z200. These almost really the same series. It's the Z pattern, but the 200 deletes the flipper tab as well as the swedge and adds a large fuller on the one side of the knife. And right now, at least, only G10 is available on our site right now, starting at about $88 right now. Now, even though you don't have that flipper tab, this still is a one-hand opening knife by way of that fuller. You can pinch out with your thumb and forefinger there, and then just proceed to open it with your thumb. A little bit more finicky than thumb studs, but it's also a much cleaner profile, both when it is closed as well as when it's open. There's no thumb stud to get in the way. Another cool little detail, you'll see it here at the back of the fuller. You'll see it in the flipper tab on the Z100. Little piece of glow-in-the-dark material, a bit of a signature element for ANV. Oh, I might even like the cleanliness of the flipperless version a little bit better. That drop point is great, about 3.3 inches. I don't know if I mentioned that blade length earlier. Solid feel in the hand, no nonsense. Not going to take up too much space in your pocket, but ultimately feels eminently capable. All right, next we have the Z50 from Acta non-Verba. These are pretty cool too. Non-locking knives, all aluminum handle options right now with a 2.6 inch Sleipner steel blade. And this is a detent joint style of non-locking knife. So you don't have the back spring that a classic slip joint would have. And in terms of the strength of that detent, this is one of the stronger ones I felt out there, which is a good thing. You don't want that closing on you inadvertently, of course. Few different colors. I really like this silver aluminum paired with the black blade option, but there's stone-washed blades also available. Again, just another little very useful drop point shape with that high flat grind, keeping things nice and slicey. Crown spine on all of these guys. I didn't mention that. Wait, do they have crown spines? Yes, they did. I thought so. I thought I remembered it, but then my brain started doubting itself. Really nice touches to see on knives, especially in the sub $100 price range that those other two particular knives have. This is going to be an even better gentleman's knife option with some of the classy aluminum handle colors and, again, that deep carry wire pocket clip. About as deep as any pocket clip comes. You can see just how far back behind the tail of the knife the clip sticks up. Going to be very hard pressed to have any of that knife peeking out when you don't want it to, which is a very good thing indeed. All right, next up, I've got another non-locking knife from Boker this time, and I'll show that before we go back to finish off Acta non-Verba for today. Gen 2 of the Atlas folder from Boker Plus. This particular version is about $32. It is a 2-implement slip joint. You've got a main blade there, about 2.6 inches in length there too. Actually very similar, yep, to the ANV we just looked at. For that, you've got a 12C27 stainless steel blade, that's Sandvik Swedish steel with a flat grind. Perfect little drop point shape here too. It's a bit of a running theme so far. You do have a traditional slip joint back spring there. And while we're looking at that, you can see the handles here. It's essentially integral. It's not milled, but this is a single folded piece of steel with a tumbled finish on it too. Good bit of rigidity to that, and it looks pretty cool too. The scissors feel excellent. They're actually pretty sizable, bigger than even like the biggest Swiss Army knives out there, I think. Yeah, I don't even think like the one-hand Trekker-sized knives have scissors quite this big. I'd have to side by side to make sure, but nice and sizable. You've got the strong back spring that works off of the leaf spring of the slip joint. Super, super solid feeling. And of course, a pocket clip on these guys as well. So very easy to carry, easier than some of these Swiss Army knives out there, certainly. And you can get this in a single blade version as well without the scissors. And with that, you can go for some really slim carry. All right, next up, we have a fixed blade from Acta non-Verba, the M73 Kontos. Comes in about $223, and not only is this a very useful shape, you can kind of tell this was a real kind of project of love, especially for them. Not that any of the other knives weren't, but there's some cool little details in here that really show how much fun they were having. The namesake of this knife, they're actually going for the T-72 Tank. These are knives made in the Czech Republic, and those are the tanks that their armed forces use. And the influence is all over this particular knife. From the shape of some of the handles and the recurve, it echoes parts of the tank itself. The actual pommel here at the back is a tank tread pin. That is really cool. You don't see that too often, or if you do, it's usually something that is kind of mimicked up to look like something, but as far as I understand, this is the actual head to an actual tank tread pin. And then all the way down to the 3 sets of screws here. They say the symbolism of that, they have 3 tank companies in their battalion. Each platoon has 3 crews, and each crew consists of 3 men. Nice little connection there. Beyond that though, it's very useful. The handle has a bit of octagonal shape, but then they've gone in and done some crazy curves to it, but not so crazy that it's not comfortable. In fact, it is quite comfortable feeling in the hand. Blade itself, what is the length here? About 5 inches, Sleipner steel again. I really like the shape. In a way, more than anything else, I mean, I wouldn't have really noticed the tank connections without knowing that that's what's going on. But the shape here reminds me a little bit of like the old German hunting knives, like the Pumas, the Hunter's Friend, that sort of thing. Let me know if you guys see that too. It's a really favorable comparison as far as I'm concerned. It's really cool to see. Crown spine on these guys as well, full tang construction. You've got that solid grip. You've got a nice pinch grip going on thanks to the shape of the scales up there. Whether you're doing outdoor stuff, tactical stuff, hunting stuff, definitely a good choice here. Kydex sheath with a couple of straps on the back. Looks like a tech lock should work on there just fine. It's got everything you need. All right, next up, we've got a pretty interesting story. We get a lot of new Microtechs in all the time. We'll have a link to our current latest batch down below. This is a not new Microtech. This is a vintage Microtech made in 1998. You can see that right here, 6-98 dual action Socom. And the reason we have these right now is this happens not too often in the knife industry, but probably more often than some of the distributors and retailers out there would like. Every once in a while, something gets misplaced or misallocated out of inventory and sits in a corner somewhere for years until it gets discovered again. That's what happened with this particular knife right here. So this is brand new, never been sold, never been used, but it is a true new old stock vintage Microtech. Very cool.
Call it a spring cleaning edition.
Spring cleaning edition, something like that. Something about this is really special. I looked at it and thought, oh yeah, the new ones are better. No, I don't know, man. The new ones are great, don't get me wrong, but there's something about this that feels a little extra special. It's a liner locking knife. You have the push button automatic, which feels awesome, but you don't have to use that push button because this is, as mentioned, a dual action automatic. You can use it just as a normal liner lock. No one will ever know the difference until you want them to. And then they're definitely gonna know. Really cool. The handles here feel a little bit slimmer than the modern Socoms. Comes in with a 4-inch blade, 154 cm steel, partial serrations, as you can see. Old school single position pocket clip there, fob at the back, no glass breaker or anything at the end there. Someone's gonna be really happy with this. Bring your checkbook though. This is, due to its rarity and vintage nature, this is gonna come in at about $9.95 right now. If that's too much for you, check out the rest of the Microtech stuff we have in stock. But I just wanted to share this with you because while we had it, I wanted to make sure I got my hands on it for at least a few minutes to enjoy it and experience it. And hopefully I'm able to share a little bit of that with you guys too. All right, next up we have the Steel Will Warbot. And already this is it's one of my favorite folders I think I've put my hands on, favorite new folders this year, which is a little bit surprising. Price on it's about $102. We've got a D2 blade, 3.5 inches, liner locking with G10. And actually we're running into a bit of a theme this week. A lot of these knives we're showing have washers in the pivot instead of ball bearings. That's usually not the case. Ball bearings are by far the most popular, or at least more popular in the premium space than anything else. Not that this is a premium knife, but it's not a cheap one either. But this knife is essentially, it's a hard use, tactical inspired folder designed to be pushed hard, doesn't cost too much that is outside the reach of like the professionals essentially that are really going to be able to put that hard use capability to work. Really appreciate that. Backspacer, you've actually got a metal backspacer here. I'm assuming it's steel. A lot of times they're using anodized aluminum or G10 back here, or even synthetic injection molded parts. But that gives you a little more rigidity, backed up by the dual full-length liners. You've got the glass breaker there at the tip, which is removable if you don't want that. Deep carry pocket clip, that's probably the only little detail that's maybe some tactical users or users in a tactical environment might appreciate more handle sticking up, but you do get reversibility at least for this. Liner locking, washers in the pivot, and I've said this before, the way Steel Will tunes their flippers to be so good without having to worry about ball bearings in the pivot, one of the best in the industry at any price. It truly works well. The blade is awesome, it's robust, it's a little bit thicker for those heavier jobs. I really like it. Can you tell?
Nope.
All right, next up, keep the tactical train rolling with one more. The SOG Vision XR LTE. New versions of this Tonto crossbar lock flipper. It comes in about $175, and it's lighter weight than the older versions. I mean, we're coming in about 3.5 ounces for this, almost 3.5 inch blade. Really good ratio to be at within, sorry for ending with the preposition there. The reason for that are the liners. Reasons for that are the line. My tenses are all over the place and everything right now, aren't them? Carbon fiber liners, people. So obviously lighter than metal, still good and rigid and a little bit fancier to look at. You can see a bit of the twill weave inside the handles. You can actually see a little bit of it through the window of that crossbar lock also, which is kind of neat. Speaking of that crossbar lock, I love the way SOG does it. Pull back on it and it's already kind of pushing the blade out because that crossbar is hitting that tang in such a way that it does that. You've also got thumb studs to open that way and the flipper as well. Yeah, man, feels really nimble. Very different than the Steel Will we just looked at, in fact, which has a decidedly kind of chunkier, heavier feel in the hand. So depending on what you're going for, two different options here. Tonto profile on the Vision, of course. We've got XHP blade steel, good high performance stuff with that black coating. Here's what I was talking about with the deep carry clip. The way they do it on the SOG here, they give you a little bit more handle to pull out. This is not actually a deep carry clip, even though it is folded over itself. You want to be able to get to that knife in a hurry, and you can do that here. Red is the only color, I believe, at the moment for the LTE versions. If you want something more subtle, you'll have to go with one of the originals. All right, next up, we have the larger version of the Swags Maileah from CJRB. Priced, even though this is the bigger one, just under $44 right now. So it's still a very affordable knife. Blade steel here is RPM 9, so it is a powder metallurgy steel, and the length is just under that 3-inch mark. And you got a broad profile going on. So even though it's, technically it's got quote unquote small dimensions, doesn't feel like a small knife. I mean, that is a nice broad profile to get some work done. It's thick enough to be sturdy, but it's still thin enough and ground high enough with its flat grind there that slicing will still be fairly efficient too. Deep carry pocket clip here, which is reversible and is actually deep carry compared to some of the knives we just looked at. Liner lock, inset liner in fact, and that kind of bulbous handle shape works really well on the smaller knife because it allows you to get kind of a bigger grip on that small knife. That extra width this way locks in. That's still the case here. It's kind of a 3 to 3.5 finger grip for me, but it feels solid. I mean, there's plenty on the front there for my fingers to wrap around and get a solid grip on. Doesn't feel like a shrimpy knife whatsoever. As far as the action on this knife, this is a ball bearing knife and you've got thumb studs and a front flipper. I haven't actually tried the front flipper yet, so let's see. Moment of truth. I'm embarrassed.
I'm pretty sure it's user error.
I'm really embarrassed by that. How about that? That's a little better. Felt pretty good actually once I actually didn't slip off the side of it. Yeah, it works well. But of course, you can simply do the thumb studs too. Either one, it's going to work well. The original knife worked really well as sort of a fifth pocket knife for that little watch pocket in your typical pair of jeans. This might be a little too big for most in that regard. You'd have to have some pretty big ones, but it's maybe possible. It's certainly kind of flat and broad enough that if it does fit, it's going to tuck in out of the way quite nicely. But take your pick of this one, G10, you got it in green or black. And you can get a black blade, I think, with the black G10 option if you wish. All right, next up, actually we'll connect the blade shapes here a little bit. The large Maileah, more Maileah technically has...
You know, I've never seen that shape before.
Really?
Really?
No, we can't call that a reverse tanto either. It's kind of a cleaver-ish shape, kind of a sheep's footy shape, bit of a hybrid. Next one has a bit of a hybrid shape too, and that is the ACE Biblio from GiantMouse. We got a new version right now. I'd probably call this one a modified Wharncliffe, but man, do we have to classify this one with a specific shape? I haven't even looked at what we say on the website actually. Let's find out. They call it a reverse tanto on the website.
That's what it is.
Moving on to the GiantMouse. It's a really cool knife. But anyway, what you get with this, you get that modified Wharncliffe shape. It's another knife that is smaller, or on the smaller side, but still feels sturdy. Doesn't feel like a weakling whatsoever. 2 7/8 of an inch on the blade. Enough meat there to push hard. Enough of a tip there to be pretty darn precise. M390 steel. Great edge retention going on there. And crown spine with a little bit of jimping forward a little ways. That's going to make it great for index finger usage if you're dragging that tip along and cutting something. Now the big story this week is new handle materials. There is a brass and there's also this stonewashed bronze handle material with a natural micarta inlay, which I think looks stunning. It looks absolutely fantastic overall. Has a bit of a crossover appeal. It's got a ruggedness to it, almost a steampunky vibe. I mean, it's kind of like patinaed copper in a way. Bronze, after all. But it looks a little classy too, which, you know, typically like matte finished natural micarta I think of as more as a rugged type material, or a rugged personality rather than a gentlemanly personality, but you know, something about this is doing it for me, I gotta say. Inset liner lock here, ball bearings in the pivot. You saw me flip it there, it worked great. Wire clip, a little bit sticks up so it's not quite deep carry. About $265 for this version right now. This next knife also has a bit of that modified Wharncliffe shape. This is the Bestech Nuke. Leading off a bunch of new Bestechs we have this week. This is one of the more premium ones, comes in at $297. Blade shape, kind of has some similarities to that GiantMouse we just looked at. 2.72 inches on the blade length, so a skosh shorter technically, but you still got M390 steel here. Still have that modified Wharncliffe shape. Black coating, or black stonewash on this one, but you've got, there's several options in this series. This is the only one with the blackened blade. There's more conventional titanium handles with satin blades, but the black titanium handle on this one I really like, paired with that orange and black G10 inlay on the front and on the back. As far as the feel in the hand, again, not a shrimpy feeling knife despite a quote unquote small frame. Feels secure. You can actually, or I can actually get even a little bit more grip on this than I can on the GiantMouse because the finger choil is larger and my larger fingers fit in there a little bit nicer. And for the detail work there, I can get all 4 fingers on at that point. If I'm muscling through something, I'll probably choke back so that I'm away from that edge. Works nicely in that grip too. And then of course the pinch grip feels pretty good if you're drawing the tip on that too. Lockup is solid with that titanium frame lock. Some really nice milling going on all over, very fancy looking. I didn't mention this is another Kombu collaboration. They've got several with him right now. Flipping action with the ball bearings. Great. Let's try the middle finger flick. Haven't tried this yet either, so I'm going to fail this on camera as well. Maybe not. Thomas is upset.
These videos are just David's beta testing.
I pick up knives and talk about what I see. That's what I do. And this is a cool one. What can I say? But $300 is a lot of money. What about some less expensive Bestechs? We have those too, coming in at about $48. New G10 liner locking versions of the Tulip, which is, wait, these are Ostap Hill designs, aren't they? Oh yeah, it says they're right. I was looking on the site. It says right there. Yeah. Really cool little shape, kind of a folding Kiridashi type of folder. Materials on this, 14C28N blade steel, which is pretty nice. The length is about 1.5 inches. We won't call it a modified Warncliffe. That's a Kiridashi blade shape through and through. Nice acute grind. Gonna work great on those drawing the tip across cuts. Liner lock, nice pocket clip there. This would fit really well in that 5th pocket for sure. And let's see, no keychain spot on it, so it wouldn't be a great keychain knife. Front flipper. Now my hands are slightly larger than average, and this is a much smaller than average folder. Not a good kind of equation for success when you combine those two things, but let's give it a try. Oh, yeah, I can kind of slow roll it. I can't really do the standard flick. What if I do, yeah, no, my hands are just too big for this particular knife, but that's okay.
Humble brag.
You know what they say about guys with big hands, big gloves.
Yes.
A few different colors available. I'm sorry we didn't have these in time for Valentine's Day. They're tulips. You could have gotten your significant other some flowers. They've even got, you know, for the men who like to buy pink things for their wives, there's even a pink version right here, but a bunch of different colors right now. Great little utility shape. If you like that, but you want a more premium one, those are not new, but they are still available. Let's see, we've got M390 blades and titanium handles. Those do go higher than $100 though. So, which do you prefer? Like, get 3 of those, almost 3 of those for the price of the other one, or do you go for the more premium thing right out of the gate? Either one is fine by me, quite honestly.
The bouquet of tulips just took on a whole new meaning.
I think we need to get our photographer to do like a flower arrangement of these tulips. I think that would be really cool.
Indeed.
Keep your eyes peeled. 2 more Bestechs. We have the Rockface flipper. Aggressive, modified sheep's foot cleaver blade.
It looks like it'd be useful for fighting off bees.
Yeah, a little bit. $63 on this. A lot of knife here for $63. About a 3.4 inch blade, D2 tool steel, G10 for the handles with a little bit of contour and some milling, of course, and the yellow bolsters for that pop of color. Liner lock, let's see, ball bearings, good flipping action. They do a really good job on their budget stuff, they really do. Especially ones this size, you get a real full experience for not a lot of money, not too high above that $50 mark. Interesting kind of pass-throughs here. I wouldn't quite call those like lanyard holes or lanyard spots, but I suppose you could if you wanted to. Really, these things are more about style, but they've got the strong backbone to back up the good look. So you're gonna definitely be able to put these to use. They aren't just for looks. Oh, one thing I just noticed, or just thought about, I should say, we've got a fuller on this knife, so you can do some of those fidgety things too, like the middle finger, or open it with your thumb if you don't want to use the standard flipper. Good to have options, that's always nice. Next up, we have the Airstream. A couple different colors on this one. There's a black and yellow one, or there's black and red available right now. Also $63. Key dimensions are the same. It's the same D2 steel, the same 3.4-ish inches on the length. Liner lock, ball bearings, G10, deep carry pocket clip. Different shape. You've got the drop point profile going on here. I really like the kind of swooping plunge line there, echoes the finger hole there. Very graceful, very nice. And just a very useful shape here too. This one was probably made, even though it's a big handle, the finger grooves here suggest to me it's actually built for slightly smaller hands than mine. My middle finger is kind of hitting this top peak. almost center on it, but you can see there's like 2 suggestions of finger groove there, and then the section at the back. I can really kind of wedge myself up in there, but maybe this is not the knife for me in particular. But if you do have smaller hands, you're certainly going to get a hand filling grip here, because either with one of these knives actually, because there's a good amount of girth. These aren't kept super slim at the expense of being able to push it. Flipping action, flips actionally, like flips action-like.
Adverbs are hard today.
They are, man. Middle finger flick, let's try it, let's try it. Yep, you can certainly do that, and then you can, of course, certainly do a standard thumb open too. I really like that, the way they've done that. They've got a bunch of stepped ridges leading down to the actual opening hole, so there's a lot to grab onto for those different opening methods. All right, next up, 2 more knives, and we're gonna go contrasting, big to small. And this first knife is a lot bigger in hand than it looks like it is in the photos, and that is the Jake Hoback Summit.
It's the whole damn mountain.
It's the whole daggone mountain there. Man, look at this thing. $625 for it, 4 3/8 of an inch long on the blade steel M390 modified Wharncliffe.
Spear point?
Just see how long I can sit here without saying anything. There, let's finish this video up. It's getting long already, I'm sure. Feels solid, feels bigger than me, quite honestly. I do like the way the handle gently slopes here. Something's hard to do on folders. You don't see it too often, where you can get right behind the edge, choke right up on it without having to like put your fingers over a place it's not intended to go. This one, no problem. And I almost hate to say it, it feels comfortable. Not that I shouldn't say I hate to say it, but it's unexpected for something this kind of chunky. It's wide, but it's smoothed over. Nice bit of radius on it. It's not too thick. It feels genuinely quite good in the hands. I gotta be honest. Let's check out the flipping action. We've got the frame lock there. You can see a lot of weight on that blade. It pushes itself closed when you get there. No thumb stud, but it's sort of a thumb clamp thing on the back. There's a word for these too.
Established words are hard.
Let us know in the comments. Let's try the pop open. Nice. We've got 2 milled sections underneath. You can do some extra fidgety things with it. That pocket clip looks cool with the pop of purple with some coordinating spots. There's a few different colors to be had. Man, this is kind of an enigma for me. It's not the type of thing I would suggest for a hard use folder because it's really fancy in its execution. It's not to say it wouldn't stand up to hard use, because I'm extremely confident that it would. It's like a very hard use gentleman's knife.
For a stonemason who orders a sandwich with Grey Poupon.
Yeah, let's go with that. Hey, it would be good spreader too.
Good spreader.
Good spreader. Good knife. But if that's too big for you, might I suggest... Man, the contrast there is astonishing. We showed this a couple of weeks ago in one of the videos Seth and I did together, but I haven't shown it on this new knives segment yet. This is the Serge Panchenko production leaf slip joint. Comes in 115 bucks with a 1 3/4 inch M390 blade, stone washed finish, cleaver shape, and this is a slip joint. You've got the back spring here. Really cool treatment the way they did this kind of pass through going on. Gives you something to grab onto there if you like. Not quite a keychain thing, but a really cool decorative thing. Really excellent feel on the walk and talk. That action is great. You could probably put a keychain through there. I was thinking the edge doesn't look like it's getting anywhere close to intersecting that hole. So this could be a keychain knife if you wish, or it could be a pocketed knife with that pocket clip. Oh, that sounds great. That sounds so good. We still do have a few of these left, but they aren't going to be around forever, so make sure to check that out before too long. All right, last but not least, probably been wondering what this thing is over here this whole video. No, we're not about to play 10 pin in here. This is the RMJ Tactical Uncle Stumpy's Juggling Club. And it is awesome. 95 bucks for this. Nice, excellently turned piece of wood. What is this wood? Is this hickory? Guess we should find out.
Yep. stand to reason.
It is American Ash. Getting rarer these days. With engraving on it, you can see Juggling Club, Uncle Stumpy, turn it around, Juggling Club, and it's in the shape of a ticket, like you're going to a show. I'm not a professional juggler. These feel awfully heavy, but maybe that's what you need in a juggling pin. But this is a juggling club after all. And like I said, it's awesome. If you'd rather have your RMJ bashing thing made out of metal, we've got some restock of some Cuddles and Snuggles Warhammers. We might not have Snuggles, we have Cuddles. Actually, I can't remember which one we have right now, but there will be a link below. And that's all the time we have for today, folks. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for sticking around through my verbal blunders today. Sorry for all of that. Let me know what you thought of these knives down in the comments, and if you want to get your hands on any of them, check out the links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. While you're over there, make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program so that you'll earn some free money to spend on your next knife when you put your money down on one of these knives today. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas over there. We're signing off. See you next time.